For the love of everything holy, please tell me sound works. Please tell me sound works. I'm using the free version, and so no intro, no nothing, and hopefully I can get it to work. But does it work, folks? Please. Oh. We have sound. We have sound. It lives. It is alive. It is alive. Oh. What a fuster clock. Hello, folks. Finally, stuff works. Yay! Yay! And this is the free version of that. So I have no idea what I'm doing. Hopefully it pans out. Hopefully it pans out. All right, welcome, folks. At least we have sound. Let's talk YSL and then some copyright, because there's past few days there's been some copyright drama. But I've been out of commission for a couple of days here, so for you who only follow me, let's get on with some updates. Please have this work. Oh! Or like this. Or like... Can I... Okay, I only have a very select few things. Okay. First of all, these are the remaining 5 defendants. The state claims they are done with the plea deals, and they are done with dismissals of cases, which means as of now, February 24th, Christian Eppinger, Miles Farley, Demikian Garlington, Denise McMullen, and Tenquarius Mender will be the ones on trial on the YSL trial part 2. So, state's motion, specially set case for trial for remaining defendants. The state of Georgia, by and through adulteress, liar in church, liar in court, Fannie Willis, District Attorney of the Atlanta Judicial Circuit, and the undersigned Chief Deputy District Attorney Adam Abate. Which this tells me, let's see, can I do it? Oh! Which tells me we won't see Prosecutor Love in this YSL trial part 2. Pre-trial, we all saw it. Well, at least I did. Everything was signed by Ms. Love. Everything. Now, what's next for these guys is bond hearings. I assume every one of them will call for a bond hearing. Now, Judge Whitaker is not a person who likes to change prior rulings unless circumstances have changed. And in my opinion, circumstances have definitely changed. First of all, they have an actual acquittal in the first YSL trial. More or less everybody in the first YSL trial got time served. More or less all of them. Well, except for Lil Rod, who is already in prison for life, and he got 10 years. But that will be if his appeal is successful, which we all hope, because B was lying. Let's just say that. B was lying, and it was so obvious in this trial that whatever happened in the murder trial, yeah, with a better lawyer, that would have been a completely different thing. So, Bond, in my opinion, now I am biased, of course, but the circumstances definitely have changed, especially with the no pros of a bunch of people after the acquittal of Mr. Kendricks and time served for Mr. Stillwell. So yeah, definitely should be at least being under consideration by Judge Whittaker, because now it's evident they only had eyes for Young Thug. They don't really care about the rest. But they need convictions, more convictions, and I believe that is why these 5 defendants are still there. Now, I heard from Doug that he doesn't expect it to be a YSL-trial Part 2. But until we have that on paper, we have to prepare for a YSL-trial Part 2. That's just the way it is. So yeah, let's see here. Let's read some more from this. The final plea hearing is presently scheduled for December 17th, which is next Tuesday. The state respectfully moves that this matter be specially set for trial with proceedings to commence on February 24th, 2025, which means they have zero plans of making this. Is this? No, that's not better. This, but no. It doesn't really matter, does it? Let's do this. I'm trying this. I'm trying this EVMux platform for the very first time, and I will evaluate if it is worth changing over to this one. So because it's much cheaper, and apparently it works. So if I do have the paid version, I can start having the usual backgrounds, the Christmassy things, and intros, outros, and all of that stuff, which I can't have on the free stuff. Where was I? Yeah. We have to prepare for it actually being a trial February 24th, because they are done according to themselves with plea deals. And I see, where do I can, why can I, oh, there, comments, post a comment. Show. Hey, I can show comments. Great. Oh, that worried me. I'd be real worried being a defendant with Eppinger. Yeah. Yep, definitely. He's the guy who shot a cop in the face, wasn't it? So, or shot a cop. So yeah, he is there, and the others. So yeah, I would definitely be worried. I would definitely go by trying to sever the case from Eppinger's. How, I don't know exactly how that will work. I do not know. But for me at least, yeah, doing any defense attorney in the YSL-trial Part 2 would motion for a severance. Because out of the remaining 5, 4 of them have an actual chance of acquittals. I don't see that happening with Eppinger. I don't see that happening anytime soon. But who knows? Maybe the state screws that up as well. But I don't think so. I do not think so. Who am I interviewing next? Well, I have invited a bunch of new people for Friday panel show. So we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for the question. So yeah, Fall is going home for sure. We can always hope. We can always hope, Teo. And Colin Madigan, it will depend on the way the state presents their evidence. Yeah, the state, or Mr. Abatai, says 90 days. And I do believe that Judge Whitaker will hold him to it. And knowing everything from trial part 1, I would hope that the defense motions quite fast for an actual time limit for the prosecution. An actual time limit. So that is more or less the update on these guys. Then you have on Mr. Stilwell and Jack Gotti. To my knowledge, they are still in jail. They are still in jail. Now, Kayla, the Bumpers, have filed emergency motions for bond, filed for dismissal of the cases. I don't know how long that might take. For me, it is unjust that Mr. Kendrick is still in jail. He should never have been in jail. Never. Never, never, never. And Stilwell, he should be out on probation. Just settle the remaining scam charges and get him out of there. Have the newlyweds, which I knew for quite some time before they actually came out officially. Told you so. I told you so. Yeah, Tayo. Bond hearing for Jack is the 17th, which coincidentally is the last day for, which is the scheduled thing for this. Final plea hearing, December 17th. So hopefully he will get bond from this final stuff. And then so he can get the F out of jail, the F out of Fulton County's jail clause. So yeah, so those are the updates. Now, I wish I had one of my swoop, but I don't because I'm using the free version of this one. Let's talk copyright and fair use. Copyright and fair use. And dun, dun, dun. Oh, ta-da! Sorry, I have to bring this. Where is it? Where is it? Dun, dun. Still trying to get used to this. I got myself one of these. One of these. Let's get this bigger. So this is what was sent to me after my one of my Friday panel shows. And so it is Associated Press UK who claims they own the snippet of the reading of the verdict in the YSL-trial Part 1. Now, of course, this is completely wrong. Absolutely, completely wrong. First of all, they don't own it. They don't. The court owns it. It's a pooled court feed. If anybody can make claims, it is the court and nobody else. No, if Associated Press has their added commentary, their added things and stuff, they have transitioned it to their own product, and then they can make copyright claim on that alone, but not the actual reading of the verdict. This I have told them. I also told Law and Crime, because I was using the Law and Crime feed. So I told Law and Crime, hey, Associated Press claims your stuff as theirs. How would the Associated Press UK know I showed it? It's an automatic process. They have copyrighted their news story, which included a few half a minute. And since I used the same half minute but from Law and Crime, they are now trying to copyright me. Now, of course, after I told everybody involved, I did what is called I appealed the decision because of fair use. Because they don't, first of all, they don't own it. Second of all, I didn't use theirs. Third of all, it's so stupid. But this is not the first time. This has happened to me a bunch of time before, that some of my streams got copyright claimed by people who definitely did not own the copyright. But this coincided with a bit of a drama. So I don't know if you know it, but apparently Mr. Byron, his interview with Euro 409, there at least one or a bunch have, one that I know of, used that to react to. And then Mr. Byron chose to copyright claim it. And so I thought I would go through with you some of what is actually fair use. And let me just show you this picture to start with. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. This is how it looks like when you do that review via YouTube. Here I have copyright exception such as fair use. That is what I use. But also, on the right-hand side here, these are not valid reasons to dispute a copyright claim. You own a copy of the song. Buying a CD, DVD, or song doesn't give you the right to use it in a video. I'm not making money from my video. Even if you don't monetize your video, you need permission from the copyright owner to use the material. And here is the last thing here, which I believe is what is the misunderstanding here. I give credit to the copyright owner. And the channel who did the reaction to Mr. Byron's material, well, what I've seen on social media, but he gave you credit. And that's not a valid reason for YouTube. Posting a disclaimer in the video description doesn't give you the rights to use copyrighted material. And that is where I believe some of the misunderstanding. Not a lot of people knows this, because the YSL community, we content creators, have shared. Now, me personally, always ask permission. Well, if it was Sylvia, if it was I don't know. But this is from a purely legal standpoint. You might not agree with him morally, but this is a purely legal analysis here. Dennis Byron's interview with Euro 409 is his. He created that content. So fair use in this case, even though I see it, it is not up to us. Fair use can only be decided in a court. So a reference is not enough. It has actually never been that way. And that might come from as news to many. Because, as I said, for many, the YSL-trial might be the first time you actually came in contact with this type of content creation, with reaction, with commentary. But purely legally speaking, fair use can only be decided by the court. Now, you can argue it, for instance here, as I did against Associated Press UK. I believe I am well within the boundaries of fair use. And in my specific case, it is, first of all, you don't own it. You don't own it. So you can't make a copyright claim, and all the others. And so yeah. So when it comes to Dennis Byron's claims to his interview or series of interviews with Euro 409, fair use, it's hard to apply fair use if you do not. I haven't seen these reaction videos, how it was shared, how it was done that, but I will go through that with you about the 4 prongs when it comes to fair use when it is applied to in court. So let's go through it. And in the description below, I am using Creative Commons CC by NC 4.0. That is the international version of Stanford Libraries. Which I'm getting this information from. So let's bring this down. And let's bring up from Stanford Libraries. Where is it? There it is. Now I will only use portions. I will only use portions of this to, for frick's sake. I will only use portions. Let's try this. Fair use. So let's make this a bit bigger. Fair use is a copyright principle based on the belief that the public is entitled to freely use portions of copyrighted materials for purposes of commentary and criticism. For example, if you wish to criticize a novelist, you should have the freedom to quote a portion of the novelist's work without asking permission. Absent this freedom, copyright owners could stifle any negative comments about their work. Unfortunately, if the copyright owner disagrees with your fair use interpretation, the dispute may have to be resolved by a lawsuit or arbitration. If it's not a fair use, then you are infringing upon the rights of the copyright owner and may be liable for damages. So it all comes down to how it is used in your commentary and in your transformation of the original content. So let's go into the 4 factors. Yes, I know. This is a great Sargon. That was a big case a few years ago, where he he played the entirety of the original content with just facial expressions. But the court in that case said that is enough for fair use. But they did the 4 factors analysis before that. So, and what applied in Sargon's case, that is that jurisdiction's interpretation. Other jurisdictions might not have gone the same way. We don't know. So every case is different depending on which court you are being sued in or are suing in. So that is one of the reasons. Yeah, and it might be this is just a legal analysis here. So in this particular way, I don't take sides. I can't. Not when I'm doing a purely legal analysis where I try to educate. I can't pick sides here. But we're going back to the interview. Dennis Byron created the interview with Juror 409. It is his. It is copyrighted. It is automatically copyrighted. And unless you have a license or a permission, you run the risk of being copyright claimed or even copyright struck. That is the harsh reality of this. I don't like it. I really don't. But that's the law in the United States. And so sometimes the law might be wrong, but we still have to conduct ourselves to it. And that is why me personally always ask permission. Now, sometimes I don't get a reply to my asking, in which I tell that person or that channel or that group that I believe I am way within my boundaries of fair use. So I'm going to use portions of your content and morph it into my own. Because I've seen so many examples. And I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube about how to handle copyright strikes and copyright claims. And so far my channel is still here, so I guess I'm doing something right. But that's not a guarantee. That's not a guarantee. Let's read some more here. Here are the 4 factors. The 4 factors judges consider are the purpose and character of your use, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion taken, and the effect of the use upon the potential market. So, the transformative factor, the purpose and character of your use. I'm reading here a portion of this. This is, of course, I will let's see here, so I can link the link of the totality of this article from Stanford Libraries is in the description to this stream. All right. In a 1994 case, the Supreme Court emphasized that this first factor as being an important indicator of fair use. At issue is whether the material has been used to help create something new or merely copied verbatim into another work. When taking portions of copyrighted work, ask yourselves the following questions. Has the material you have taken from the original work been transformed by adding new expression or meaning? Was value added to the original by creating new information, new aesthetics, new insights, and understandings? This part, for me, is the reason why I am a commentary channel. That is why you see me pause all the time in my coverage. Because I need to be on the better part of that gray zone. Because I don't want to spend money going to court for some of my streams and videos. I simply don't. Let's continue. In a parody, for example, the parodist transformed the original by holding it up to ridicule. At the same time, a work does not become a parody simply because the author models characters after those found in a famous work. Purposes such as scholarship, research, or education may also qualify as transformative uses because the work is subject of review or commentary. Example. Roger borrows several quotes from the speech given by the CEO of a logging company. Roger prints these quotes under photos of old-growth redwoods in his environmental newsletter. By juxtaposing the quotes with the photos of endangered trees, Roger has transformed the remarks from their original purpose and used them to create a new insight. The copying would probably be permitted as fair use. Probably. Why do they say probably? Because we as individuals do not determine what is fair use. Only the court can determine if something is fair use or not. Now we can use logic or emotions, but that is still the foundations of the fair use doctrine in American law. In a dispute, it is the courts who decide. So, for instance, I have not seen any of the people who have reacted or restreamed this interview. But it all comes down to how did you add anything to transform it? Or did you simply add commentary? Because transformation cannot take away, for instance, I will come to that to one of the later ones, but just as a foreplay, just as going into this, if people get the same information without it being transformed, that might take away viewers from the original content. Oh, I already seen it, I don't need to see the original content anymore. Then you haven't transformed it enough. The transformation has to be you transforming it into something new and original. Hence, me doing commentary. Because there's a difference between seeing the law and crime feed with zero commentary and me calling some of the prosecutors interesting words, interesting themes. I stop, I talk, I add so much to transform, because people don't watch me because I talk too much. So they go to the original, which means I do not take away viewers from the original. People come to me because what I add. That's the difference. So again, I have no idea how these other people are using Mr. Byron's content, but if it's not changed enough, it will be hard to argue fair use. And as I showed you earlier, even YouTube says only giving credit is not enough. And again, I don't like it, but that's the law. And that is how we all, we content creators, we have to apply the law to what we do. Unless, for instance, this, what we are reacting to is a pooled feed when it comes to the YSL-trial. The court is the only one who can actually make copyright claims. Dennis Byron's interview with Euro 409 is his own. That's the difference. Here comes drama. According to Dennis, Cam sped him up to sound like Mickey Mouse. Does that count as transformative? I don't know. If it was me, maybe. If it was done for ridicule, then yeah, that could be one of the things that saves the fair use. But if it was only to speed it up, so 5 minutes became 3 minutes, no, that's not enough. I don't think so. Let's continue. Determining what is transformative and the degree of transformation is often challenging. For example, the creation of a Harry Potter encyclopedia was determined to be slightly transformative because it made the Harry Potter terms and lexicons available in one volume. But this transformative quality was not enough to justify a fair use defense in light of the extensive verbatim use of text from the Harry Potter books. And that's the case law from 2008. The nature of the copyrighted work. Because the dissemination of facts or information benefits the public, you have more leeway to copy from factual works, such as biographies, than you do from fictional works, such as plays or novel. And here again, I have to add, it's a clear difference between an interview and the court feed. That's also why I haven't done more reaction to the other Euros, because I don't have a permission yet. And they haven't copyright claimed anybody yet. So I would probably be on the safe side, but probably it's not a good, I can't. If you ask Sylvia and the others, Sylvia, Kat, and everybody else, I always ask permission. Always. And they say, oh, you don't have to ask. Yeah, I do. Because say somebody changed their mind 3 years from now. Then I can always go back and say, hey, look at this. I asked permission and I got it. Nobody knows what happens in a few years down the line. Nobody knows. That's why I try to be on the safe side. Let's continue here. The amount and substantiality of the portion taken. The less you take, the more likely that your copying will be excused as a fair use. However, even if you take a small portion of a work, your copying will not be a fair use if the portion is taken is the heart of the work. In other words, you are more likely to run into problems if you take the most memorable aspect of a work. For example, it would probably not be a fair use to copying the opening guitar riff and the words "I can't get no satisfaction" from the song Satisfaction. And here we go back to again the difference between court feed and interviews. Now, I saw portions of the interview with the 409. Some of the things she says is outrageous. But that is also the heart of the interview. So even if you just take out some portions, you are taking out the highlights. Then you will have a harder claim for fair use than if you just played the non-interesting parts. For example, so that, oh hey Katnap Williams, hello. So that is also one big difference between the court feed and the interview with Euro 409. And if you want to know, there are people out there who does copyright and copyright only on YouTube. So I suggest, if you want a bigger understanding than the pure basics I'm giving you now, go to one of them after we have seen all this. Okay. Let's see here. I saw something. Where did it go? There. Factual. Nick, would you try and short somebody to remove a strike? Well, legally, that is called a negotiated license fee. So, would I do it? Probably not. Now, say okay. Let's go outside of. For instance, say I created a completely original story from about Scandinavia, a saga, a story, a fairy tale that I created by myself. I did all the video and everything. I did all the audio and everything. I edited it. I did everything from scratch. And then I get a few thousand views, which is fine. And then some huge reaction channel just plays it and says, "How did you like that?" I would sue the living fuck out of that person because I created something from scratch. Would I do it from my trial coverage? No. That is purely promotional for me. But if I created something from scratch, completely different story. And so yeah, and that also applies to what I believe Dennis Byron. He created that interview from scratch. He got her on. I don't know how, but he got her on his channel. And that's the difficult part with fair use and copyright. It's not easy. It's not easy. Louis Thomas, that is also known as blackmail. Not in copyright. I understand what you mean. And I somewhat agree. But in copyright, it just doesn't apply. It just doesn't. It's two completely different sides of the law. Completely different sides of the law. But I understand you. This is not fun. The YSL community, even if some people disagree with each other, we have been civil most of the time. But when it comes down to copyright, and Mr. Byron is trying to make a living. He is licensing out this interview for money. But if people can get it free from somewhere that isn't him, that affects his business. And if you treat this as a business, not as a hobby, as me and many others do, it's a different ball game. It's a completely different ball game. Let's continue here. The rule is less is more. It is not necessarily true in parody cases. A parodist is permitted to borrow quite a bit, even the heart of the original work, in order to conjure up the original work. That's because, as the Supreme Court has acknowledged, quote, the heart is also what most readily conjures up the original for parody, and it is the heart at which parody takes aim. And then you have what I've been touching on for a bit, the effect of the use upon the potential market, which comes down to, am I losing money because other people react to my things? That's basically what this means. Am I potentially losing viewers, money, or the ability to license out this interview to others, to news organizations and stuff? Another important fair use factor is whether your use deprives the copyright owner of income or undermines a new or potential market for the copyrighted work. Depriving a copyright owner of income is very likely a trigger to a lawsuit. This is true even if you are not competing directly with the original work. For example, in one case, an artist used a copyrighted photograph without permission as the basis for wood sculptures, copying all elements of the photo. The artist earned several $100,000 selling the sculptures. When the photographer sued, the artist claimed his sculptures were a fair use because the photographer would never have considered making sculptures. The court disagreed, stating it did not matter whether the photographer has considered making sculptures. What matters was that a potential market for sculptures of the photograph existed. Again, parody is given a slightly different fair use analysis with regard to the impact on the market. It's possible that a parody may diminish or even destroy the market value of the original work. That is, the parody may be so good that the public can never take the original work seriously again. Although this may cause a loss of income, it's not the same type of loss as when an infringer merely appropriates the work. As one judge explained, quote, the economic effect of a parody with which we are concerned is not its potential to destroy or diminish the market for the original. Any bad review can have that effect, but whether it fulfills the demand for the original. In some cases, the amount of material copied is so small or de minimis that the court permits it without even conducting a fair use analysis. For example, in the motion picture 7, several copyrighted photographs appeared in the film, prompting the copyright owner of the photographs to sue the producer of the movie. The court held that the photos, quote, appear fleetingly and are obscured, severely out of focus, and virtually unidentifiable. The court excused the use of the photographs as de minimis and didn't require a fair use analysis. So, all in all, what I'm trying to explain to you guys here is a clear line here between the court feed, which we all, well, most of us are reacting to, commenting about, because the court technically owns the feed, not anybody else. The rest of us are just using it. If it's law and crime, if it is Associated Press, they can try to copyright it, which Associated Press have done now. If they don't buckle, they will lose because they simply don't own it. But here is the clear-cut line between that and an original interview that nobody else have. And I feel bad for the people who are affected by Mr. Byron's decision. But it's his decision to make because it is a clear original work that is his. It is copyrighted. So anybody wanting to clip from it needs to apply these four factors. And it's not fun. I don't like it. I would prefer to just step online and do whatever, but that is simply not the case. Now, it's still Mr. Byron's choice how to apply this. Now, at sometimes doing it, even if you're in the right too, it can create bad PR to the level that it is damaging you. And that is also a factor if you are the creator of this original work. Is it worth it? Now, I do, as Empress Fox says, the strike has since been removed. So apparently Mr. Byron, he knows about the copyright and he knows about fair use, but also the amount of backlash might have changed his mind. But not everybody does that. Not everybody even have the ability to change their mind. Now, Mr. Byron is his own man. He controls everything. There are many content creators out there that uses managing firms. Then it is completely out of their hands. It's like music. Young Thug can't do anything about the strikes I got for failing to, not strikes, but claims I got for forgetting to pause or forgetting to mute when they played his songs in court. But if you see the music reactors on YouTube, I've heard numbers of about 30% of their content is demonetized. But they use it anyway because it creates value for all the other stuff they do. So yeah, now everybody makes their own choices regarding if I copyright claim, copyright strike. I don't have anything on this channel that is even remotely close for me to be able to do copyright stuff with. I don't even on my secondary channel, which some of the stories you heard are mine. I still don't, even if I've seen it elsewhere now, because sooner or later they will come back to that little channel. But so yeah, copyright is a dirty, dirty business, and we all, as content creators, we have to think about: is this actually fair use, or am I in a gray zone, or am I over the line? And I personally try to stay as far away from the gray zone as I possibly can. And remember, I still get copyright claimed on occasions. Still, even though I am miles away from the gray zone, I still get copyright claimed. If you are close, the closer to the gray zone you are, if you're reacting to original works, you always run the risk of claims and strikes. So yeah, that is my today's lesson, if you want to say that, around the absolutely despicable thing that is copyright and fair use. It's a dirty, dirty business. And but we have to, because it's the law. And again, as I said in the beginning, I don't determine what is fair use. You don't determine what is fair use. Ultimately, the only people who can determine what is fair use are the judges in court. All right, that is what I had for you today. That is what I had for you today. I hope we all came out of this a little bit more knowledgeable. And I know a whole lot more frustrated, maybe. But yeah. Personally, if Cuff Boys wants to do a reaction to this, go right ahead. I would love it. I would love it. But that's so. Yeah, this is lawyer me having an educational moment with you guys, and sadly, it really doesn't matter how we feel about it because it's the law. We can't do anything about it unless we start voting for people who wants better copyright laws. And one of the reasons, which I haven't addressed to you yet, is over here where I am. We don't have fair use. Laissez-faire, basically non-existent where I am. Also one of the reasons why I'm extremely careful when it comes to local news and local cases. So even how bad you believe your situation is, if I covered a news story and read from a newspaper here, every time I'm risking my channel because they can copyright strike me because I don't have fair use over here. And so yeah, copyright is one of the most abused laws there is. After you watch me, go out and search for the big channels who handle copyright, who does this more or less all the time, and they will tell you scary, scary, scary situations where people who reacted to a short lost their channel, tried to get their channel back, even went to court, paid tens of thousands of dollars only to lose, and then all of a sudden they owe sums of money in the hundreds of thousands. That is why all of us, content creators especially, have to be extra careful when it comes to reacting to original works. Okay? Not the most fun stream I've ever done, but it needed to be done. And I believe now when I got a copyright claim, which is completely bogus, and the drama that is elsewhere in the YSL coverage thingy, it was time to have this discussion with you guys, so you understand where some of us come from, and how we all the time have to think about this. Okay, I don't have any outro because I'm using the free version of this because StreamYard sucks donkey balls. But okay, thank you guys for showing up. I hope you learned something today and a bit more understanding about the law in the area. Thank you guys, and next stream I hope I can have the intro, outro music and all of that. Okay, see you on the next stream or video. Bye bye.